All right. Good morning, guys. Can you hear me okay? Hey, Raymond, Craig, how's everybody doing? Hey, Mike, Tom, Reese, Mark. Cool. Chris, Sharon, Richard, Nigel, Patrick, Frank, Rob. All right, cool. Hey, Rob, how's it going? Carmela, Vito. Good deal. All right. Well, let me just kind of give you a little bit of a kind of a heads up as to what's going on. Today's going to be pretty relaxed. To be honest with you, I don't have a proper presentation made for this because that's kind of why I'm having this today. We were trying to meet a deadline for Thursday with shark indicators, and both of us have run into quite a lot of issues with the programming for Ninja 8, Jeremy, that is, at Shark Indicators. So programming in Ninja Trader 8 is just it's a whole other animal. The things that we could do in Ninja 7, with relative, I wouldn't say ease, but we could get the stuff done a lot quicker in Ninja 7. But Ninja 8, it's totally different drawing, and the UI stuff is completely different. The UI being the user interface, like the toolbar here, how it floats around, and we can control all the different charts from this one little window, this one little tile here. So to do those sorts of things in Ninja 8, well, it's seemingly impossible, but we've finally made some breakthroughs here this past week. So it's starting to come along. Josh has been working on the volume analyst for Ninja 8 for a while now, for well over half a year, but we've rewritten it. So I imagine most of you, the vast majority of you, own the volume analyst already. So everybody in here today either owns the volume analyst or the toolbar or both, or one of the other, Divergences Pro or the indicator reader or whatnot. So this is basically a session just to give you guys an update and show you some of the new stuff that we're putting together. Okay, so this stuff that I'm showing you now will be available. The volume analyst will definitely be available by March 24th. But we're going to kick this off now with this new import manager. So this will be what enables the market geometry analysis service that we're going to be launching, I think probably the first or second week of June. To do it sooner would be to release it too early, I think, without, all the proper documentation and whatnot. What did I say? Yeah, I meant to say May 24th. Did I say March? Yeah, May 24th. The volume analyst will definitely be available by May 24th. So that's what, 2 weeks? Right at 2 weeks, yeah. A little less than 2 weeks. So we'll get into that in a minute. Josh is actually working on it right now. There's still a couple of little bugs that we're trying to iron out. And I think many of you guys will probably get access to a beta version if you want it about the middle of next week. So probably Wednesday, we'd like to get at least some of you guys to test it, to help us test it. We've already done a lot of it, and Josh is fixing the bugs actually right now that I've found over the past day and a half or so. So if some of you guys would be willing to do that next week and test it a little bit with the new reader that we have for Ninja 8 and probably the beta version of Bloodhound and Blackbird, which Jeremy, I think, has released to some of you guys. But I think he'll have an update to that beta. So he'll do like a second beta release or a third beta release. I'm not sure if he's on the second one already or not, but he's gotten a lot of stuff done with Bloodhound and Blackbird as well. So there's still a couple of issues there with the way that it affects like the windows, like the user interfaces, like the charts basically. So there's a couple of other things to iron out there, but I'm thinking hopefully a lot of that will be done, most of it will be done by the 24th. I imagine he'll still be in a beta version, but he's definitely making a lot of progress as well. So we'll get into the volume analyst here in a minute. And the reader, we were actually thinking we were going to do the reader system last, but we figured out a way to make it work about 10 days ago, something like that, a little over a week ago. So we went ahead and made the whole reader system and the reader manager and all that, which gives you access to the signals from any other chart feeding into whatever chart you have Bloodhound or Blackbird on. So we actually have that now for Ninja 8, and it's working. And I'll show you that along with the volume analyst in Ninja 8 here in a bit. What I want to do now, before all of that, is go over this new import manager. So some of you guys have been using this in the trading room. So I released the first beta of this. I guess it's been about, it was the 28th. Yeah. So it's been a little over two weeks, right at 2 weeks now. So I have an update for this, which I'll release Monday afternoon or Tuesday. We still have to test a couple of things, but one of the things that we noticed was the way that this merge system was working, along with several other bugs that we had fixed. But the way that the merge system was working was that it was importing. Well, I'll walk you through the details of all this in a minute, but the problem was if you left it on, if you left it to auto import my objects, and you had it merge so that it would not delete your existing objects, then every time I would export, it would import that export without deleting the previous objects that I had deleted just before doing that last export. So you would basically be accumulating all of the objects that I had been exporting throughout the day without deleting any of the old ones. So that was a pretty big problem. So we've made another option. If for some reason you may want to do that, I think we'll probably just remove this option here. Okay, so that's one of the main things for those of you that have been using it already. That's one of the major changes. All right, let me just give me 1 second. Anybody have any questions before we get going here? I want to kind of explain what this whole import-export system is all about and what it lets us do. It's actually very, very cool. Yeah, so Tom is asking, will the current market geometry import continue to be available to Ninja 7? Yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll have it. As far as the way that the service will go, once we release it, we'll basically do a proper, full release, and then everybody that owns the toolbar will get a full month trial of all of the markets that we're going to be covering. And then that automatic import function will be it'll be like a service. But everybody in the trading room will have at least one market. So I still have to kind of figure out exactly how that's going to work. And with our new website and members area and the automation software that we've been kind of putting together to govern all of this, I'm still not 100% sure exactly what I'll be able to do as far as the subscriptions and, which basically you'll have to choose which market you want to go along with the trading room. And then you'll be able to add whatever other ones you want as like a separate subscription. So the way that that's all going to work is a little bit tricky. But yeah, you'll still have access. So if you want to use it yourself, and export, to a folder on another computer or something like that, you'll definitely still be able to do that. Anybody that has the toolbar will have that ability with the import manager. The only difference will be the automatic imports coming from Josh and me. Okay. So after we release it, probably we'll do another beta next week, and then we'll do like a release candidate probably that same week of May the 24th to everyone. And then we'll do an official release. I'm thinking about the middle of June. So when that official release comes, then everybody will have, another full month of access to all the exports that Josh and I will be exporting. Raphael is asking, Daniel, will this service only be available to trading room members? No, I'm going to make it available to, hey, Pep, good evening. I'm going to make it available to anybody that owns the toolbar. Okay, so you won't actually have to have everything to be able to subscribe to this market by market service. So the way that I'm putting it together now, I'm going to have, let me just kind of explain the way this is going to work before I get too deep into it here. So what happens is when I do, here, let me turn these little hotkeys on real quick. And again, this is, not a formal presentation by any stretch. I just want to kind of give you guys a little bit of an update, an overview as to what we actually have done so far. But here, let me show you exactly the way this works. All right, let's go over here. Okay, so this is the Slack channel. Slack is a instant messaging app. It can give access through API to basically any program that you can imagine. And you can even hook up your own programs to it through an API, which is what we've done. So it's like the ultimate chat software for business. So that's what Slack is. And what I have here is a virtual machine. So this is another instance of Windows running within this little window here. Okay, so it's a completely separate operating system. It's basically an install for testing where I would see exactly what the customer would see, what the client would see here with this install. All right, so let's say I've just drawn this in. This is just kind of a mess, whatever. I'm just trying to give you an example here. So I've drawn this in. What I do is I hit a hotkey. It will export all of these objects, everything that I've drawn on this chart, to a server. And if you have a connection to the server, then it will show up as a file available in this import manager here. So you'll see that after I export these objects, so sorry, that's the 6E. Let me do this from the crude oil. Yeah, there we go. All right, so you'll see that when I export all of these objects from this 15-minute chart of crude oil, it actually takes a screenshot immediately right when I do that export, and it will automatically upload that screenshot to the Slack channel here, and then it sends the file with all of the objects to the server. And if you have a connection to the server, then it will populate a file in this import manager, and then you can either manually import it to that 15-minute chart, or you can automatically import it. Okay, so I'm going to make it automatically import here. And to establish the connection, all you do is add your email right here and then do a little test. And if you have the permissions set, it'll tell you that the subscription is active. So here it says I'm subscribed to the 6E, the 6J, the crude oil, and the S&P 500 futures. Okay, so I am connected. Now I should probably go and delete all these files from the server, but let me just filter for crude oil, and I'll just hide this. So I can filter for crude oil, and then I can also filter based on the name of the analyst. So right now it's just Josh and myself. Okay. Yeah, so you can use this search as a filter, or you can filter directly from right here. So you can select and show all of the available files, or deselect and then just show the files for crude oil, and then whatever charts, basically whatever charts are available will show up in this list, and then you can either select them one by one or just select all and import everything. Basically what this does is when I export, I'm exporting one chart at a time. Basically this import manager is able to read that file and tell us what objects are available, and then read all of the files and tell us how many charts are available, what chart period and type, and then what instruments are available. So right now, everything is kind of going through one folder on the server. So every single thing that we export is going to the same folder. So everybody has access to that same folder. And even if I export, whatever, something from a stock or gold or any other market, it'll still show up in the list. So eventually we'll have it to where each instrument goes to its separate folder, and then each person can gain access to whichever instruments they want, basically. All right, let me just go through this real quick before I answer any other questions. So I can set it to auto import and then either merge with what I have drawn on the chart, or make it completely delete whatever I may have on the chart and mirror exactly what the analyst is exporting. So let's say that I have it set to mirror, and then I draw in something random. Let me just draw this in. Okay, so when I export, when I hit this hotkey and export the 15-minute, you'll see a snapshot, a screenshot of that post right here. And then you'll see the objects shortly thereafter. I think it's within 30 seconds will show up on this 15-minute chart. So there's the export. There's the screenshot. And then depending on when the last ping of the server happened, it could, it'll show up here on this chart within the next 20 seconds. So that's how it works. So basically what we've been doing is during the trading room, every time I finish marking up a chart, I'll hit the hotkey, do an export. It'll take a screenshot, upload it to the Slack channel, and then everybody that's connected to it, depending on whether they're set to merge, mirror, and do that automatically or manually, they can make it show up right when the file is ready. Or, see here, it's refreshing now. You see that? So it just refreshed and it reloaded the files that were available on the server, and then it plotted them here on the 15-minute chart. So the main problem with this type of analysis, I think, has been, for most people, is learning how to do it effectively and quickly, to do it fast enough to where you can actually then have enough time to make a decision on whether you want to take that next trade or not. And then, me in the trading room trying to watch 3 and 4 different markets, the trading room is basically just not been very conducive to learning this stuff, because I am flying through, so many markets and marking up so many charts and moving on to the next one as basically as fast as I can, so that I can keep up with what's happening and try to make some good decisions. So this, I think, should make it quite a bit easier for you guys to follow along. For one thing, let's say that this Ninja Manager that we have can make NinjaTrader start up instantly on a timer with the computer. So let's say that you do that. You have it set. This is the Ninja Manager. I think the version that I got last night is finally the final version. Remind me here in a minute and I'll give you guys a link to this. But let's say you're using the Ninja Manager to automatically start up NinjaTrader in the morning, before you even wake up, and everything's good to go by the time you come to the computer. If you have it set to leave the import manager open and auto import and either merge or mirror, then by the time you come to your computer, if it's after 7 or 7:30 Central Time, all of the work that I've done and Josh for those markets up to that point will already be on your computer, on your charts. So that to me is about the most amazing service that I could have ever hoped to sign up for. So if I could have had something like that to where I'm getting, the analyst's analysis directly on my charts before I even get to my computer in the morning, well, that would be huge, right? So not only will I think it help you guys learn this stuff faster, but it'll save you a lot of time just being ready for what's coming that morning or later that day, just to be prepared for the next major turns in the market. So I think it'll be both pretty amazing learning tool, but also a very effective trading tool, All right, so let me go through some of these questions real quick. Sanjeev, no, I don't have any of the pricing or anything figured out for any of this yet. This is basically just kind of a quick and dirty glossary overview of where we're at and the development of this import manager, and then all the development that we've managed to get done for Ninja 8. So I'm just trying to give you guys a bit of an overview. I was hoping to have a webinar with Shark Indicators this past Thursday, but there was really no possible way that we could make that. We had to reschedule that webinar for the 24th. So that'll be 2 Thursdays, not this coming Thursday, but the next. So we'll have everything ready, at least as far as the volume analyst and the new reader system for the volume analyst is concerned. We'll have all of that ready for the 24th. So 12 days. 12 days from now, that'll be ready. And then for all of you guys that currently own the toolbar, we'll have a beta then as well. Yeah, we definitely should. So right now we have a beta for the guys that are in the trading room only, just to kind of work out the kinks and get everything working properly, make sure the server is working properly. And I'll have an update for that Wednesday. Some weird display stuff going on inside of this virtual machine here. Yeah, but anyway, not exactly sure, how this is all going to work out pricing wise, but I should have all that figured out here in the next week or so. And no, it's not just going to be for trading room members only. Basically, everybody that'll be in the trading room will automatically have at least one market. And then really anybody that owns the toolbar could potentially sign up for whatever markets we have. Sanjeev is asking, so in theory, if I auto import and have an auto execute set, which I assume is a automated Blackbird strategy, then it would be in effect a Daniel directed automated system. That's the biggest pitfall with this whole thing, because that opens up that's a pretty big problem, legal problem right there, because I'm not a CTA. I don't have licensing for that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know. That poses some pretty big risks. I mean, really, all it would take is for somebody to leave something like that on and then come home one day and their account is at 0, and then try to say it's my fault or whatever and sue us, and then the business is over. So I think to try to mitigate that, I'm just thinking we'll probably just have to formulate some sort of contract that everyone will have to sign. Been thinking about that recently. I'm not exactly sure how to deal with that, but I'm sure you guys can understand the kind of issue that raises, right? So Bruce is asking, in order to keep track of our own objects and see what are from you and Josh, do we do ours in another color? Yeah, I think I'm going to do mine in another color, and Josh will have his in another color. So you guys will probably just be able to, leave it set the way that I send it out default. Both he and I will use different colors. If you've imported, say, I don't know, a file from Josh or one from me, and you want to remove it, you just hit the undo button right there. See? And then I can re-import it. And if I don't want to delete my own object, so I'll undo that. So you see when I draw this in and I redo it, it deletes that one. I don't know if you saw that. Let me do it again. I'll just make it obvious here. All right, so now I'll import it again. See, it deleted that yellow line. So if you don't want it to do that, then you simply set it to merge with auto import. And if you don't want it to import automatically, then you just set it to manual or auto refresh. Auto refresh just reloads the available files every 30 seconds. I think we'll probably end up making it about every 10 seconds. Okay, so now with it set to merge, I'll undo it. And whatever, I'll draw just a bunch of whatever here. So now when I import it, it keeps all of the objects that I've drawn. You see? And you could have it, not filter based on name so that you see Josh's objects as well, or whoever else is doing any exports. You could keep just the most recent objects from Josh and me, or yeah, just one or the other, and then if there's one that you want to get rid of, then you just simply hit the undo button. So I think we've pretty much thought of everything. Probably another 2 weeks. It'll be a little bit more refined. Sanjeev is saying, my limited time in the trading room has been great, but I try to trade while holding a full-time job, which means my chart markups are intermittent. So hopefully this will be a good solution for me. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the main things as well. And we're planning on doing like basically like a separate subscription for higher time frames only. So I'm thinking we'll have probably 20 markets, something like that. Maybe not that many, maybe just 12 starting out, like 6 Forex and 6 futures, and do 3 main charts each market, 2 40-minute daily and weekly, all of those together in one higher time frame bundle as a separate subscription. So that way you always have the larger areas marked up for those main 12 markets. That should be really, really useful. Yeah, so Tanya's this is the next thing I wanted to show here. She's asking, so if I set it to automatically merge, it will delete your prior objects, but not our objects. So yeah, okay, so what I've done is I've just imported, auto import, and I have it set to merge. Okay, so it's imported all of these objects from my 15-minute. So the way that I have it now, and this is what posed the problem, if I would go back and then delete some of these other objects, if I would delete some of these other objects and then say draw something new in like this, then you would just basically be accumulating all of the previous objects with the new objects. So now what it will do when I export this, it will remove those old objects first and then just repopulate with the new objects. So here, I'll export it. There's the screenshot to Slack. And then here within the next 25 seconds or so, there it goes. So see, it deleted all those previous objects. So that was the biggest issue that we found. But between that and then we had some sort of thing built in there to where it would try to change the color of the background of your chart if the objects were too dark on a dark chart or too light on a very light colored background chart, which would throw this pop-up message every time, which was pretty annoying. So we got rid of that. I think it's pretty much done. We just have some more testing to do and add some more, strain on the server with adding a few more of you guys to it so that we can see how it handles multiple people. But I think it's pretty much getting there. Next major step is producing the documentation and the members area, which I've been working on the members areas for a while now. So we'll have brand new websites here in about 2 more weeks. I'll have the members area split off from the main website. Should be a lot nicer.